Have you ever said yes, even though every cell in your body wanted to say no? You smile politely, you agree to the extra task, the awkward dinner or the weekend favor.
Yes.
In the moment it feels
Yes.
easier.
I knew it.
There's no confrontation, no disappointment on anyone's face, no awkwardness. Yet later, when you're alone, something nags at you, a tightness in your chest, a replay of the conversation on loop. You wonder why you didn't speak up for yourself. Psychology has a term for this: people-pleasing. Research shows we often overestimate the negative consequences of saying no. A recent study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people feared anger or disappointment from the inviter, leading 77% of participants to accept invitations they didn't want. Experts note that these imagined ramifications are usually worse than reality, yet fear keeps us stuck. This tension between fear and authenticity can quietly reshape how you move through daily life, and you might not notice until the signs start showing up. Never saying no isn't about weakness or a lack of backbone. It's a survival strategy. At some point, your brain learned that agreeing keeps things calm. Saying yes avoids conflict, prevents disappointment, and earns approval. Over time, this strategy becomes automatic. People who fall into chronic people-pleasing often have low self-worth, accommodate everyone else's needs, rarely assert themselves, and feel valuable only when complying with others. They apologize when no apology is required, take the blame even when they're not at fault, and make excuses for others' bad behavior. Rather than asking, "What do I want?" your mind starts asking, "What will make everyone else comfortable?" It's like programming your GPS to navigate everyone else's needs while forgetting your own destination. This adaptation may have kept you safe once, but running it on autopilot costs more than you think. Imagine finally sitting down after a long day. There's nothing urgent on your plate, yet instead of feeling relaxed, you're uneasy. Your mind starts spinning with things you should be doing: answering messages, helping a colleague, volunteering for another project. Rest feels selfish, almost wrong. Psychologists note that constantly monitoring others and suppressing your own needs keeps your nervous system in a state of hypervigilance. When your value is tied to what you do for others, stillness triggers guilt. This relentless vigilance drains your mental battery. Like a phone that never closes its apps, you're always running processes in the background, so even when you're on the couch, your mind keeps running. Muscles tense, headaches and insomnia creep in as you neglect your own needs. And that constant low-level stress sets the stage for deeper issues. After years of automatic yeses, something strange happens. Your own preferences start to fade. When someone asks what you want, where to eat, what movie to watch, what career path to follow, your mind goes blank. It's not that you don't care, it's that you've trained yourself to adapt. Hargan psychology explains that constantly adapting to others' preferences can make you lose touch with your own values, interests, and desires. You become a chameleon, mirroring others because it feels safer than standing out. You've been mirroring everyone else for so long that your own reflection has blurred. Over time, you might even forget how to recognize your own hunger, restlessness, or joy. This erosion of identity doesn't happen overnight. It happens in 1,000 quiet agreements. And when you can't hear your own voice, resentment begins to whisper. Suppressed frustration doesn't disappear, it builds pressure. Maybe you catch yourself snapping at small things, or your chest tightens when a friend asks for help, even though you say yes anyway. Hargan psychology notes that repressed frustration often leads to explosive outbursts or passive-aggressive behavior. You might vent to someone else, gossip, or simply brood in silence, all while smiling and saying, "It's no problem." Each unspoken no is like a stone added to a backpack. You keep adding stones until the straps dig into your shoulders and you can't carry it anymore. Eventually, the weight becomes too much, and you're overwhelmed by the very people you wanted to keep happy. Resentment poisons relationships, making you feel taken advantage of while others remain oblivious. And that tension sets up the next cycle. When you're a chronic people pleaser, Saying no feels risky. Even tiny requests spark a series of what-ifs in your mind. Will they be mad? Will they think I'm selfish? The MD links article summarizing a recent APA study explains that participants overestimated how upset inviters would be if they declined an invitation. The fear of negative ramifications was disproportionate to reality. This anxiety often leads you to say yes even when you're exhausted or overwhelmed. The people-pleaser personality is also tied to fear of rejection and insecurity. When you treat others' disappointment like a danger signal, your brain goes into high alert. You rehearse explanations, craft perfect excuses, and worry about being seen as selfish. Ironically, the more you try to prevent conflict, the more anxious you become, and that anxiety seeps into every corner of your life. People-pleasing isn't just about tasks, it's about emotional labor. You might feel responsible for everyone's feelings. If someone is disappointed, you think it's your fault. If someone is stressed, you try to fix it. If someone is uncomfortable, you adjust yourself. Psychology Today notes that pleasers often undermine their own needs and take on blame unnecessarily. Hargan Psychology adds that this pattern can stem from childhood environments where keeping others calm felt essential for emotional safety. As an adult, this vigilance becomes exhausting. You carry emotions that were never meant to be yours, leaving little space for your own. Every mood in the room feels like a test you have to pass. And as you manage everyone else's feelings, your own go unheard. There's a secret dopamine hit when someone needs you. Neurologically, receiving approval or avoiding conflict activates the brain's reward system and releases dopamine. That temporary relief feels good, so you seek it again, even if it exhausts you. Over time, your sense of value becomes tangled with how much you do for others. You feel useful when people ask for help. You panic when they don't. If someone declines your offer, you might wonder if you're no longer important. This fragile self-worth drives you to say yes more often, perpetuating the cycle. And when your sense of value is controlled by other people's requests, you never feel truly secure. People-pleasing doesn't come out of nowhere. It often develops in childhood as a way to secure love and safety. Hargan Psychology explains that children may adapt their behavior to maintain relationships when approval is conditional on good behavior, conflict is avoided, or emotions are suppressed. Being praised for helping others or feeling responsible for a parent's well-being can train a child to prioritize others. Psychology Today notes that people-pleasers often fear rejection because early relationships taught them that love was conditional. These experiences shape attachment patterns, making you constantly seek reassurance and fear abandonment. Social conditioning reinforces the pattern. Cultures often teach women to prioritize harmony and not rock the boat. Cultural messages urging niceness and harmony sink in. Over time, what started as a survival strategy becomes a personality trait. Understanding these roots can help you have compassion for yourself. You didn't become a people-pleaser by accident. At first glance, people-pleasing seems virtuous. Who doesn't want to be helpful and kind? But the hidden costs are significant. Chronic people-pleasing keeps your nervous system in hypervigilance, leading to chronic stress and anxiety. You lose touch with your identity when you always adapt to others. Suppressed frustration leads to resentment and anger. Relationships suffer because authenticity becomes impossible when you're always shape-shifting. A 2025 study that validated the Chinese people-pleasing questionnaire found that higher people-pleasing tendencies were associated with lower levels of mental well-being. In other words, the more you please, the worse you feel. You may develop symptoms of anxiety, depression, and burnout. You might even notice physical impacts: headaches, fatigue, insomnia, or a weakened immune system. And the saddest part, the people around you may never realize the sacrifice you're making. People often take the pleaser's help for granted. They don't know you're skipping meals, losing sleep, and neglecting your own health. Some may even exploit your generosity, pushing your limits because they know you rarely refuse. The result is a life filled with obligations, but devoid of joy. The good news is that people-pleasing isn't a fixed identity. It's a learned pattern you can unlearn. The first step is awareness. Start noticing when you say yes automatically, feel anxious about disappointing others, or suppress your opinions. Keep a journal for a week, documenting these moments. Once you see the pattern, practice hitting the pause button. Instead of answering immediately, say, "Let me think about it." This small pause gives you space to check in with yourself. Hargan Psychology recommends starting with small boundaries. Expressing a mild preference, declining a minor request, or sharing your opinion on a non-controversial topic. The MD links article notes that practicing saying no in low-stakes situations can build confidence. Develop your why. Ask yourself what life would look like if you stopped people-pleasing. Understanding your deeper motivations makes it easier to tolerate discomfort. Learn to sit with the anxiety that arises when you set a boundary. It will pass, and your confidence will grow. Mindfulness, therapy, and support from friends can help. Replace fear with curiosity about what could go right. Boundaries don't destroy relationships. They reveal which connections are healthy enough to survive honesty. If these signs hit close to home, know that you're not alone. People-pleasing is common, and it develops for understandable reasons. You learn to keep peace and earn love, but what protected you then may be hurting you now. Awareness is the first step toward change. Each time you pause before saying yes, each time you choose rest without guilt, each time you state a preference, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself that your needs matter and that saying no is not a rejection of others, it's an affirmation of yourself. You may feel uncomfortable, and some people may be surprised, but the relationships that truly matter will adapt. As clinical psychologist Ora DeLoz Santos advises, focus on why you're saying no and stick to your reasons. Practice in situations where the outcome feels manageable. Over time, saying no becomes as natural as saying yes. So next time your chest tightens when someone asks for your time, ask yourself, am I choosing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? Imagine what could unfold if you honored your own needs as much as you honor everyone else's. If you're ready for more insights into why we do what we do and how to heal, hit subscribe and join this community. The next video digs into how setting boundaries can feel scary, and why that fear is actually a sign you're growing. Share your experiences in the comments, because together we can break free from people-pleasing. Your voice matters and may help someone else. Your journey starts with a single honest no, and we're here to walk with you.